Sylheti Diaspora refers to the descendants of ethnic Sylhetis who emigrated out of the Sylhet Division, Bangladesh, to a certain specific countries which have had socio-economic and political ties with Sylhet. The Sylheti Diaspora numbers around 1 million, mainly concentrated in the United Kingdom, United States, Canada, Germany, Italy, France, Australia, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, Finland and the Middle East and other European countries. A study from 2008 shows that Britain have the largest number of Sylheti diaspora, where 500,000 people speak Sylheti, which is 95% of total number of Bangladeshi people in UK. According to the census of 2009, it shows the actual number is a lot higher. Sylhetis in Bangladesh have conversely affected by remittances sent from across the world, and the community has been suffering from a serious lack of government initiatives causing development inertia. According to neoclassical theory, the poorest would move to the richest countries and those from densely populated areas would move to more sparsely peopled regions. This has clearly not been the case. The brain drain was a movement from core to core, purely on economic maximization. While it was young Sylheti pioneers with access to financial resources that migrated from a severely overpopulated Bangladesh to the overcrowded streets of Spitalfields. Poorest from all parts of Bangladesh migrated to Sylhet for a better life, causing a severe overcrowding and scarcity of resources in Sylhet. Etymology. Sylhet is a derivative of Assyriot, which in turn originated from its ancient founder, Ashur, who established a kingdom in the present-day city of Sylhet and gave his name to the kingdom. Ashur Kingdom. A kingdom of Ashur was the ancient name of Sylhet. King Ashur of Sylhet was the biblical Ashur, who was the second son of Shem and grandson of Noah. King Ashur voyaged from the ancient kingdom of Assyria of Mesopotamia to the ancient port of Sylhet, where he founded the kingdom of Assyriot. King Ashur of Sylhet was different from King Asura of Maheshwar mentioned in Hindu mythology and epics. In the medieval period, the prefix of "as" was omitted and the kingdom came to be known as Kingdom of Sylhet Assyriot Raja. By the end of the medieval epoch, the name of Sylhet Raja underwent a series of modification from Sylhet to Sylhet and Srihatta. In 18th century, the British administration anglicised the spelling to Sylhet. Sylhetology. Sylhetology is a deductive method of studying the ancient history of Sylhet, hypothesizing the tradition of oral history and comparing with written history and archaeological findings to reach a rational conclusion. Sylhetology is a form of proposed by a London-based polymath on 25 May 2015. Sylheti Jati. Sylheti ethnicity is also known as Sylheti Jati in popular form. It includes peoples from Barak Valley in southern Assam, India and Surma Valley, a Sylhet division, Bangladesh. Sylheti Jati includes peoples from different religious denominations including Muslims, Hindus, Christians, pagans and atheists. A perception runs wild in Bangladesh that people of Sylhet are planning in connivance with India to carve out an independent state of Sylhet consisting of South Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Greater Mymensingh, Greater Dhaka, Greater Kamilla, Greater Noakhali, Greater Chittagong and Chittagong Hill Tracts, with the epicenter at the city of Sylhet. This myth was concocted in an anonymous group or individual in London, and it led to consequential suppression of Sylheti Jati in Bangladesh. Sylheti Jati is gaining wider recognition and momentum outside of Bangladesh and India due to growing human conscious and prevalence of human rights in European countries, particularly in the UK and the USA. Sylheti as a Jati is promoted by Sylhetologists and human rights activists. Origin of Sylhet. Sylheti Diaspora is regarded as an artificially Bengali because of their distinct ethnicity, which is more close to North India than Bengal. Although peoples of Sylhet and Bengal are ethnically and linguistically diverse, and the lineage can be traced to varied peoples of antiquity including Semitic, Dravidian and Sumerian peoples. King of Assyria voyaged to Sylhet and established his kingdom consisting of Isles of Bengal and Assam. Following the collapse of Assyrian kingdom in Sylhet, Aryan-speaking people made advances and founded their kingdoms along the Surma-Barak valleys. Sumerian origin names have been abbreviated. For example, the name Sylhet has derived from Assyria-hat. Surma is a variant of Sumer and Assam. Assam is corrupt of Asham. Until the medieval period, Bengal and Assam were part of the kingdom of Syria-Hatta, which is written as Srithata by some writers. People of Sylhet conform to the Semitic account of the history, which confirms that Noah's second son, Shem, had 5 sons: 1. Elim, 2. Ashur, 3. Arphaxad, 4. Lud, and 5. Aram. Genesis chapter 10, 22. Shem's second son, Ashur, founded the ancient Assyria in Mesopotamia and later established Assyriat in Surma Valley, which came to be known as Srihata in medieval period and Sylhet in modern epoch. King Ashur has been vilified in Vedic scriptures by his arrivals, who later came to known as Aryans, and they were subdued the people of Assyriat kingdom. People of the Assyriat kingdom established a subsidiary kingdom consisting of the southern strip, and it was named after the third river in the Eden Garden, Hidakal. In medieval time, pundits have Sanskritized the name of Hidakal kingdom to Harikala Harikala, to put things in historical perspective. Until partition in 1947, Sylhetis were part of Assam in northeastern British India, as it then was. Early history. Sylheti Diaspora emerged due to a need for an economic sustenance. Young men searching for better employment elsewhere led to the foundation of Sylheti Diaspora. In the heyday of the British Raj, when young men from the land of Sylhet worked as lascars in the British Merchants Marine, some jumping the ship in London in search of better life, and others found alternative routes to enter the motherland, causing chain migration and eventual settlement in working-class neighbourhoods of London's East End. Many of the Sylheti men moved on and found better working conditions in industrial cities and towns such as Luton, Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds, Bradford, Oldham and so on. Sylhet is a seafaring nation. Going to the sea is in the blood of all Sylheti, and it was a daredevil adventure for Sylheti young men until the land reform forced upon them by the British Raj in 1793 CE as part of the Permanent Settlement Act of 1793, which altered the entire social, political and economic landscape of the country, and going to the sea became a necessity. Young men from Sylhet boarded ships mainly at Kolkata, Mumbai and Singapore. Some of these early Sylheti seamen visited Britain and America and sought employment. Although by virtue of Magna Carta Libertatum, there were no legal restriction on them to enter and leave Britain freely, some authors have played the ship-jumping rather disproportionately without realizing that the Sylheti seamen knew they could visit the motherland without making any declaration of intent, which was required to enter the USA. The early recorded history indicates a strong connection between Sylheti Diaspora and the Sylheti seamen. Caste and class. People of Sylhet are socially stratified into 4 castes, which is called Chatur Varna, and 3 social classes. Caste system derived from Hindu system of Varna, color, and Jati, ethnicity, which divides people into 4 colors: white, red, yellow and black. White people are Brahmins, who are destined to be priests, teachers and preachers. Red people are Kshatriyas, who are destined to be kings, governors, warriors and soldiers. Yellow people of Yasas, who are born to be cattle herders, ploughmen, artisans and merchants. And black people are Shudras, who are born to be laborers and servants to the people of twice-born caste. People from all caste denominations exist among Hindus in Sylhet. Class system among Muslims evolved during the halcyon days of the Mughal Empire, and it is divided into 3 layers. Ashraf, Ajlaf and Azal. Ashraf is the noble class destined to be priests, teachers, preachers, kings, governors, warriors and soldiers. Ajlaf is the middle class destined to be cattle herders, ploughmen, artisans and merchants. And Azal is the working class destined to labor and provide services to all others. People belonging to Azal social class do not have family names or surnames. Azal men usually use names of Islamic heroes or honorific as the last name, which are about a dozen of the last names commonly used by Azals, and the names are as follows: 1. Ahmed, 2. Muhammad and Muhammad, 3. Ali, 4. Hussein, Husseina Hussein, 5. Hassana Hassan, 6. Zaman, 7. Islam, 8. Hakka Hak, 9. Ad-Din, Al-Din, Ud-Din or Udin, 10. Ullah, 11. Mian Amir, and 12. Alam or Alam. Women of Azal social class use about half a dozen of names as the last names, and examples are given below. 1. Begum, 2. Khanum, 3. Khartan, 4. Nahar, 5. Nissa, 6. Bibi, and 7. Banu. Many Azal men are given one of the 99 attributions of Allah, and these attributions are required to have prefix of servant to make a distinction between the creator and creation. The prefix is usually Abdul, and examples are as follows. 1. Abdul Rahman, servant of the all-compassionate. 2. Abdul Rahim, servant of the most merciful. 3. Abdul Malik, servant of the king, the sovereign. 4. Abdul Qudus, servant of the most holy. 5. Abdus Salam, servant of peace and blessing. 6. Abdul Mu'min, servant of the guarantor. 7. Abdul Mu'ayman, servant of the guardian, the preserver. 8. Abdul Aziz, servant of the Almighty, the self-sufficient. 9. Abdul Jabbar, servant of the powerful, the irresistible. 10. Abdul Mutakabir, servant of the tremendous. 11. Abdul Khaliq, servant of the Creator. 12. Abdul Bari, servant of the Maker. 13. Abdul Musawwir, servant of the Fashioner of forms. 14. Abdul Ghaffar, servant of the ever-forgiving. 15. Abdul Qahar, servant of the all-compelling subduer. 16. Abdul Warab, servant of the bestower. 17. Abdul Razak, servant of the ever-providing. 18. Abdul Fattah, servant of the opener, the victory giver. 19. Abdul Alam, servant of the all-knowing, the omniscient. 20. Abdul Qarabid, servant of the restrainer, the straightener. 21. Abdul Basit, servant of the expander, the munificent. 22. Abdul Karafad, servant of the abaser. 23. Abdul Rafi, servant of the exalter. 24. Abdul Muiz, servant of the giver of honor. 25. Abdul Muzal, servant of the giver of dishonor. 26. Abdus Sami, servant of the all-hearing. 27. Abdul Bazir, servant of the all-seeing. 28. Abdul Hakam, servant of the judge, the arbitrator. 29. Abdal Adiel, servant of the utterly just. 30. Abdul Latif, servant of the subtly kind. 31. Abdul Kabir, servant of the all-aware. 32. Abdul Halim, servant of the forbearing, the indulgent. 33. Abdul Azim, servant of the magnificent, the infinite. 34. Abdul Ghaffar, servant of the all-forgiving. 35. Abdul Shaka, servant of the grateful. 36. Abdul Ali, servant of the sublimely exalted. 37. Abdul Kabir, servant of the great. 38. Abdul Hafiz, servant of the preserver. 39. Abdul Muki, servant of the nourisher. 40. Abdul Hisid, servant of the reckoner. 41. Abdul Jalil, servant of the majestic. 42. Abdul Karim, servant of the bountiful, the generous. 43. Abdul Rakib, servant of the watchful. 44. Abdul Mujib, servant of the responsive, the answerer. 45. Abdul Wazi, servant of the vast, the all-encompassing. 46. Abdul Hakim, servant of the wise. 47. Abdul Wadud, servant of the loving, the kind one. 48. Abdul Majid, servant of the all-glorious. 49. Abdul Barith, servant of the raiser of the dead. 50. Abdul Shahid, servant of the witness. 51. Abdul Haqq, servant of the truth, the real. 52. Abdul Wakil, servant of the trustee, the dependable. 53. Abdul Qawi, servant of the strong. 54. Abdul Matan, servant of the firm, the steadfast. 55. Abdul Wali, servant of the protecting friend, patron, and helper. 56. Abdul Hamid, servant of the all-praiseworthy. 57. Abdul Muhsi, servant of the accounter, the numberer of all. 58. Abdul Mubdi, servant of the producer, originator, and initiator of all. 59. Abdul Muid, servant of the reinstator who brings back all. 60. Abdul Mahi, servant of the giver of life. 61. Abdul Mumit, servant of the bringer of death, the destroyer. 62. Abdul Hay, servant of the ever-living. 63. Abdul Qayyum, servant of the self-subsisting sustainer of all. 64. Abdul Wajid, servant of the perceiver, the finder, the unfailing. 65. Abdul Majid, servant of the illustrious, the magnificent. 66. Abdul Wahid, servant of the one, the all-inclusive, the indivisible. 67. Abdul Ahad, servant of the unity, the indivisible. 68. Abdus Samad, servant of the long, the impregnable, the everlasting. 69. Abdul Qadir, servant of the all-able. 70. Abdul Muqtadir, servant of the all-determiner, the dominant. 71. Abdul Muqaddam, servant of the expediter, he who brings forward. 72. Abdul Muakhir, servant of the delayer, he who puts far away. 73. Abdul Awal, servant of the first. 74. Abdul Akhir, servant of the last. 75. Abdul Zahir, servant of the manifest, the all-victorious. 76. Abdul Bathan, servant of the hidden, the all-encompassing. 77. Abdul Vali, servant of the patron. 78. Abdul Mutaal, servant of the self-exalted. 79. Abdul Bar, servant of the most kind and righteous. 80. Abdul Tawwab, servant of the ever-returning, ever-relenting. 81. Abdul Muntakim, servant of the avenger. 82. Abdal Afuww, servant of the pardoner, the effacer of sins. 83. Abdur Rauf, servant of the compassionate, the all-pitying. 84. Abdul Malik al-Mulk, servant of the owner of all sovereignty. 85. Abdu al-Jalal war al-Ikram, servant of the Lord of majesty and generosity. 86. Abdul Muqsit, servant of the equitable, The Requiter. 87. Abdul Jami. Servant of the Gatherer. The Unifier. 88. Abdul Ghani. Servant of the All-Rich. The Independent. 89. Abdul Mufni. Servant of the Enricher. The Emancipator. 90. Abdul Mani. Servant of the Withholder. The Shielder. The Defender. 91. Abduddar. Servant of the Distresser. 92. Abdun Nafi. Servant of the Propitious. The Benefactor. 93. Abdun Nur. Servant of the Light. 94. Abdul Hadi. Servant of the Guide. 95. Abdul Badi. Servant of Incomparable. The Originator. 96. Abdul Bachi. Servant of the Ever-Enduring and Immutable. 97. Abdul Warith. Servant of the Heir. The Inheritor of All. 98. Abdul Rashid. Servant of the Guide. Infallible Teacher. And Knower. And 99. Abdus Sabur. Servant of the Patient. The Timeless. Notables. Muhammad Ataul Karim. Scientist. Sir Faisal Hassan Abad. KCMG. Anwar Chowdhury. Diplomat. Simon Mir. Designer of London 2012 Olympic Royal Mint. Irene Khan. Former Secretary-General of Amnesty International. Rushanara Ali. Member of Parliament. Kartin Sapnara. Barrister and Judge. Alur Rahman. Singer and music composer. Inam Ali. MBE. FRSA. Shelem Hussain. MBE. Iqbal Ahmed. OBE. British billionaire. Wali Tazaruddin. MBE. Ajmal Masroor. Television presenter. Tommy Mia. FRSA. Celebrity chef. References.